DJI last week did 2 firmware updates for the Mini 3 Pro and the RC controller. They're really exciting. It's the best updates they've probably done to date. You can do a complete factory reset, which I guess is good if you want to sell your drone. But more importantly, they've given you complete control over the senior mode, normal mode and sports mode to really refine all the settings. So today I'm going to give you a quick recap on downloading the firmware, then we're going to go in, tweak all those settings, particularly in the cine mode so we can get some super smooth footage from the drone. And then at the end of the video, after we've been out in the field, and I'm going to give you a few things that I've learned about it and some settings that I'd slightly tweak. So let's dive into the video and see what those are. First thing we want to do is make sure we're connected to the internet. So we swipe down twice on the top of the screen. We click on our Wi-Fi button and reconnect to the internet. We click on the 3 buttons in the top right hand corner and we go to the top right hand menu, which is the about, and scroll down and you can see aircraft firmware and we go check for updates, download the updates. Similar for the site FlySafe data, we can check for updates there and we're going to click update. Now we've downloaded the firmware and we've updated the FlySafe data to the drone. The drone has to be on while you do that. Let's jump into these settings. We tap on the top 3 buttons on the right hand side. We want to go to control, and where all the fun happens is in the game and expo. So we click on that. And we're going to start with the cine mode. I want to make my cine mode to be the smoothest settings I can get from the drone because that's when I'll probably most likely use it indoors. So maximum speed, I'm just going to reduce that and reduce the ascent speed and the descent speed to 1 meters per second. It's the lowest it will go. Maximum angular velocity, I'll reduce that right down. So with your smoothness, I'll move that to the right to make it the maximum smoothness. And with brake sensitivity as well, I'm going to move that to the maximum sensitivity as well. Because if I'm indoors, when I want the drone to stop, I want it to stop because I don't want it to crash into anything. Going down to expo, which is the pitch and roll and the yaw and the up and down movement. I'm going to move those all the way down to 0.1 to the lowest setting, so they'll just be creeping around. Again with the gimbal, I want that on the lowest settings as well. So that's my gain and expo setup for the cine mode. Before I go out and fly, I just want to check that any other settings haven't been reset or changed in that firmware update. Start with the safety mode. I'm set on bypass, which is great. I don't want to disable sideways movement. Maximum altitude seems to be at 20 meters now, so I'm going to go to the legal height in the UK at 120 meters. Maximum distance, no limit. Return to home, normally I'll have that set at 100. That seemed to be reset, so I'm just going to change that. You can see why it's really important to check these settings, and everything else there seems to be fine. We've looked at the controls, checked the camera settings. Normally I'm in cine-like, but for this test I'll keep the normal, and then when I'm out in the field I'll change that. H265 is how I'd normally have it standard. Anti-flicker, okay. Peaking levels high. Yep, got my grid lines. So that all looks as it should do. It's worth noting as well on your mobile app that that's got a latest update as well. So you should go in and change that as well. And that's it. So let's get out in the field and give it a test. And then we'll come back in the studio and see what the results are. We're filming here today in Oldham at this centre here. And we're just going to fly the drone round and really see how smooth and how nice these new adjustments are going to make this footage. With these new settings, these controls are so smooth as it's easing around this building. It's as I start to make those slow turns, they are so smooth. It's working so superbly, absolutely loving this. I'm really noticing as I raise up the drone that I can gently tilt down and it's giving a really nice cinematic movement there. And as you notice, as I fly in and tilt the gimbal down, how smooth that action is. I did notice in normal mode when I started to turn the drone that it was a bit jerky. I'm also finding in normal mode the gimbal reacts far too quickly. As you could see from those tests in the field, the settings for the cine mode indoors were amazing, but when we're externally flying around the building, we've got more height, more distance from the object. The cine mode at times would just be a little bit too slow, but the normal mode was quite good. But then there's some actions that you'd like to slow down, like the yaw when you're looking from right to left, and also the gimbal movement. They still need to be a lot subtler. So let's just dive in and change those. And if we go to controls, gain and expo tuning, and then we'll just go to normal mode. Now if we look here, the horizontal ascent and descent speeds are fine. We'll keep those on the top settings because we want to be moving that drone around a bit quicker when we're higher up. Angular velocity I'll just leave the same. The yaw, I want to just change that to be 100. And then the brake sensitivity, I'll keep that somewhere in the middle. Then just coming down to expo, leave the settings the same apart from the yaw. I want to bring that right down so that's a lot smoother. With the gimbal, I want those to be really very smooth as well. The control speed for the tilt, right down to the minimum, 1 degree per second, and the tilt smoothness to the maximum smoothness, which is at 30. And that's it. The sport mode I'll leave as it is. A thing to note is these always start up and launch in normal mode, regardless of how you've got this set here. So if you're flying indoors, when you've launched, even if you've got that in cine mode up here, just turn it off, turn it back on, turn it to normal, turn it back to cine mode to ensure you are definitely in cine mode when you're launching inside. I hope you got a lot out of that video. If you've got any knowledge to share, please put it in the comments. If you subscribe, let us know so we can give you a thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.